Surprisingly realistic, but how much of it would actually work? Let's start with the aerodynamics. In spite of its weight of about 5,000 pounds, the tumbler can achieve impressive speed.
The tumbler is a big, bulky, tank-like machine, but probably can go about 120, 130 miles an hour.
Credit goes to its surprisingly sleek design. Just as airplane flaps generate lift to make a plane go up, the tumbler uses flaps to push the vehicle down and achieve greater velocity.
The theory behind it is that it's got all these little aerofoils on the outside that all make tiny little wings, instead of having one big as an aircraft.
The other key aerodynamic element, surprisingly, is the airflow under the car. And this is actually what racing cars use. If you can design that air under the car to go significantly faster than the air on the top of the car, you get low pressure under the car, and the high pressure on top pushes you down on the ground. So if you want to understand how the tumbler gains stability by having the air blow underneath it, you can just take a piece of paper. You can generate high pressure on top and a low pressure underneath by blowing under the paper, and the paper will be forced down.
Speed is one thing, but how does something as large as the tumbler manage to maneuver so well?
Weight does have a great effect on maneuverability. You have all this mass you have to move around. It's transmitted through the wheels and tires to the road. Really, got to hand it to the designers, automotive-wise. It's quite a feat of engineering. They seem to have each wheel is kind of balanced out by itself without an axle running across the middle.
Both wheels are totally independent, so one wheel can actually stop, and the other wheel can rotate so the thing turns right on a dime. And it can do that at any speed. That's what's so amazing about it.
I gotta get me one of those.
The tumbler is designed to get some of its momentum from a jet-powered engine. Another detail rooted in reality. Jet-powered cars have been used to set land speed records, and they've even made brief trips into the consumer world.
They've tried to use jet engines in cars throughout history. 1963, Chrysler introduced the turbine car. 50 models they made had a jet engine in it. They only gave them to about 200 customers for 3 months each. It was a very experimental program. Most people who drove it loved it. Unfortunately, the car wasn't great on gas mileage. It's a very complicated car, and it kind of died a few years later.
Over here on the throttle, flip that open and throttle up. This will boost you into a rampless jump. Right now!
On screen, the tumbler can also make unassisted or rampless jumps.
If it comes off perfectly parallel to the ground, it's always going to fall a little bit. And so if it's jumping to something that's a little bit lower, it's okay. If it wants to jump to something at the same height or higher, it needs some form of lift, or it needs to come off at a slight angle. The way you could do this is imagine a little bit of a wheelie as you take off. You don't actually need a ramp to get a little bit of vertical velocity, especially since you've got the jet engine on the back to give you that extra thrust. You just get the front end of the car up a little bit, fire your jet engine, and now you're going off at an angle.
You know, we were confident that we could do some pretty amazing jumps and it land and drive off, you know, not the classic thing where the car jumps, lands, falls apart, and then you cut and put another car in and drive away. You know, we were proud of the fact that we could do all that and still carry on the sequence.
If you had powerful enough hydraulics or electromagnetic shots up front, and then you had a very powerful jet engine that aimed down a little bit, you might be able to get enough of a leaping effect to go 10, 20, 30 feet in the air.
The real danger is the landing. He's going to be landing at a very high speed. So the front end of the car has to have the stability and the shock system to survive that jump. And in fact, if you look closely, the Batmobile does some interesting thing. The front wheels extend, there's extra shock absorbers there, and when it hits the ground, it slows down over that longer distance that enables it to survive the impact.
The Batmobile Tumbler is certainly impressive, but the tech team at Wayne Enterprises isn't resting on its automotive laurels. These days, Batman's got a new and even more outrageous way to navigate the mean streets of Gotham City.
Will you be wanting the Batpod, sir?
In the middle of the day, Alfred? Not very subtle.
The Lamborghini, then.
Much more subtle.
Over the years, Batman has used his technological know-how to create countless vehicles to help him fight enemies like the Joker. He's had bat planes, bat boats, bat copters, and even a vehicle that could go from the air to under the sea. 3 years after Batman Begins, its sequel, The Dark Knight, pushed Batman tech even further.
One of the joys of working on a character who's been around for thousands of stories is you have to continually ask, how do I top this?
The answer? The Bat-Pod, a bold new vehicle that's part motorcycle